The regular season is officially in the books for Class A, and we are off to the postseason. Today, I am bringing you guys the final poll before the end of the year one. So this will be the rankings that are used throughout our postseason graphics and all that stuff. So this will be the last rankings video until after the state championship. But Class A fans, you're going to be seeing me because we've got postseason content coming your way. Middle of this week, we're hoping to get out some Class A predictions for games this week. So if you're wanting to see that type of thing, if you're wanting me to go game by game, pick who we think is going to win and why, be sure to like this video so that we know and kind of can build the anticipation for that. We're super excited for all this postseason content coming your way. We know it's just going to be crazy like it always is. But before we get there, we've got to go through our top 16. Again, our final top 16 before the state championship game. And a few new teams sneaking in the final week, making their debut in our top 16. And one of them is Pekin at 6-2. They're new to our rankings. They have not been in our rankings all year, and they sneak in. They've got, I know their two losses are to teams ranked above them. I believe their two losses are to Lisbon and Columbus. So two really good losses at this point, and they dominated Louisiana Muscatine last week 61-6 to earn a spot in our final rankings. At number 15, Logan Magnolia. They've hung around this 14-16 range just about all year. They beat ICAM Manning 31-21, and they'll be number 15 heading into our postseason. At number 14, the other new team making their debut for the first time all year long, Akron Westfield, 7-1. They don't really have that statement win, I'd call it, but you know they've been beating all the teams put in front of them for the most part, and they beat South O'Brien last week 26-0 to earn a spot in our power rankings before the postseason. At number 13, North Lynn, they beat Bellevue 56-6 to hold down this spot. And at number 12, Maquoketa Valley took a tough loss to Starmont last week. They dropped out of our top 10. They still hang in there, but as we'll talk about later, that loss was crucial for that district in playoff seeding. So a really tough loss for Maquoketa Valley, but they are in the postseason, and that's all you can ask for is a shot this time of year. At number 11, East Buchanan at 6-2. They beat Postville 68-0. They're another team that's kind of hung around this 8-11 mark just about all year long. Let's get into your top 10, though. At number 10, Wapsie Valley. Another impressive performance from the Warriors, and with a win over a scrappy Nashville Plainfield squad, Wapsie Valley locked up a district title and an undefeated regular season. They're the lowest-ranked undefeated team in Class A. They allowed just 14 points to all Class A opponents all year long, 14 points total, which is pretty crazy. Ian Buzinski added a kick return, and Tucker Ladeberg added a pick six in the win last week. They will host 4-seed Danville next week, round one of the postseason. At number 9, your team of the week this week, Starmont at 7-1. And I can't underestimate how big of a win this was for the Stars. With this win over Maquoketa Valley, a then top 10 team, Starmont locked up a district title, and Maquoketa Valley fell all the way to the 3rd spot in their district. So that means the Wildcats now have to go on the road, and Starmont gets to host a 4-seed in round one. Starmont's a sneaky 7-1 team, a team we haven't talked about a ton. And a big part of that is Anthony King, who racked up 184 yards and a score last Friday. He's a big reason for their success. And Starmont opens up with 4-seed North Butler in round one. At number 8, another undefeated team, ACGC, still perfect. The Chargers are off to a home game in round one after a rout over Southwest Valley. Mike Fuller had 3 scores on the ground and 170 yards in the win. And the Chargers will host Mount Air, who they just beat 2 weeks ago. So kind of a weird matchup, and probably not something you like facing the same team again, but they had success over Mount Air, so they'll look to do just that again. At number 7, Linville, solely at 7-1, they wrap up their regular season. The one slip up to Madrid knocked them to the 2 line in the playoffs, but the Eagles will still host a playoff game. The defense has stepped up the last 5 weeks, allowing nothing more than 16 points in a single game. Although they are hosting, they did get a pretty tough draw on a 6-2 and newly ranked Pekin squad. And like I said, Pekin's only losses this year are to 2 teams ahead of Linville solely in the ranks, Lisbon and Columbus. So that'll be a really fun 2-3 matchup in Class A this week. At number 6, Columbus, they move up a spot. Another very good team on the 2 line for the playoffs, all because of the team right ahead of them in this week's ranks. I'm sure you can guess who that is. Columbus has put up 50-plus points each of the last 5 weeks, but they also got a really tough draw. And in my opinion, the best 3 seed will come to town in Maquoketa Valley. And this is just going to be a fun matchup because it's a battle of the 2 best running backs in Class A, in Lance McShane and Caden Amigon. I know I've been saying that name wrong all year. I apologize, but now I know it's Amigon, not Amigon. So Lance McShane of Maquoketa Valley and Caden Amigon of Columbus Community will duel it out in round 1 of the playoffs. That one's going to be a ton of fun. Those guys have had incredible years, so it's it's not fun seeing one of them get dropped out this early, but that one's going to be kind of a top matchup, in my opinion, this week in round 1. Moving into your top 5, though, as you can see at number 5, Lisbon. They are the reason Columbus is on the 2 line and not the 1 line. Lisbon obviously beating Columbus and securing a district title and the 1 seed, and yet another impressive win for them. But boy, oh boy, I would not be happy with this draw. 6-2 and 4th place North Lynn comes to town this week, in what should be an incredible 4-1 matchup. North Lynn is the only 4 seed ranked in our power rankings heading into the postseason. So that just tells you, how quality they are. North Lynn was just caught in a loaded district. They only had 2 losses, but they end up on the 4 line. So Lisbon and North Lynn, that's a really, really good 1 versus 4 matchup in Class A. Moving on to Woodbury Central, who's stayed in our top 5 all year long. Incredible year for the Cats, who finished 8-0 on the regular season, and they really weren't tested the last few months. They'll get 5-3 North Union in round 1. At number 3, West Hancock, the number 3 team in our power rankings, is a 2 seed in pod play, all because of the 1 loss to St. Ansgar, who is right above them. Nevertheless, the Eagles will host a round 1 game. It'll come against 4-4 Galen Catholic. Speaking of the team, St. Ansgar, they are the reason West Hancock's on the 2 line because of the win way back in week 3, 4, whatever it was. But St. Ansgar, you can 100% argue this is the most impressive team in Class A, and they rightfully deserved a great draw in pod play. And they got a 2-6 Sibley O'Shaden team. 2-6 is the worst record that made it into the Class A postseason. So St. Ansgar gets a pretty favorable draw there. At number 1, still your number 1 team, Madrid. They've proven they're not a fluke, and they'll head into bracket play as IA football's number 1 team in Class A. They host 4-4 IKM Manning to start their journey to Cedar Falls. So that's all we got for Class A this week. That's your final top 16. We will not have another one of those until the end of the year. But again, if you're wanting postseason content, postseason predictions, and some, bold takes, some upsets, all that type of stuff, be sure to like this video and let us know. And we're excited again for postseason play. So Class A fans, I'll catch you later this week for some postseason content.